Hello, hello, hello. It's Sunday. I'm CJ. This week we are talking all about relationships. The thing about other people. Let's start this right. The thing about other people is that other people are either really amazing or super overrated. And there isn't really, anywhere in between. I'm definitely more interested in dogs than relationships, which will come as a surprise to exactly nobody. I have always been very open about certainly my sexuality and also, my romantic desires. Unlike a lot of you, I grew up in a time where there weren't a lot of labels for things. There was lesbian and gay, bisexual, it certainly had terrible connotations to it, and trans didn't really exist until much later in my experiences. The terminology for relationships, I guess, sexual and romantic, didn't exist. There was no, there was certainly never any idea where I'd be like, oh, I'm, aromantic, or oh, I'm asexual, or oh, I'm grey, or any of those kinds of things. And, I love that. I think people sort of bitch a lot about labels and they get very carried away with who needs these labels? And well, you obviously don't, but you're also a terrible human being for failing to support the people that do. Because unsurprisingly, I really like having words to describe feelings and ways for people to express themselves in that way. That being said, I've only ever been queer. And I feel like I've been queer when it's come to relationships as well. When it comes to sexual relationships, I think you have sex with who you want and who says yes. As long as you're saying yes and they're saying yes and you're being careful and you're being smart with it, then everybody have a big old party. Relationships, on the other hand, are not something that I find particularly comfortable. And that is because fundamentally I find that other people are daunting, somewhat terrifying, and always this sort of presence that I'm never quite sure what to do with. Anyone that follows me on Instagram or Tumblr will know that I have my friend Lana, who I do refer to as my wife. We have frankly, a life-saving friendship. We met nearly 4 years ago, which is funny because we haven't aged a day. We met nearly 4 years ago through a friend because Lana was coming to study in London at the point where I was moving down to London. And we thought, you know what, we don't know anyone in the city, it might be cool for us to hang out. And sort of fast forward, and aside from being a total babe, she is the smartest, funniest, most caring, brilliant human being that I know. And we sort of concluded quite early on that, we really, really like each other and we work. We work in that way of, we can go away together, or we can do those menial things, we go shopping together. And I don't mean clothes shopping, although we do that, we go grocery shopping together, and our dogs are really good friends. And the longest that I think we've ever gone without seeing each other has probably been about 10 days, and that's been at least when one of us has gone to another country. And that's the kind of thing, that sort of stable grounding that I have of an incredibly romantic, asexual, platonic friendship is something that I value very, very much. And actually, I'm very critical of people who want to have hierarchies of friendships, your friends are here, but your relationship is here. I don't buy that, because I don't think that romance is the be all and end all. I don't identify as aromantic. I've had romantic relationships and I've had long-term relationships in the past. I do think that they can work, and I do think that they're a good thing. And I do probably see myself at some point in the future having a romantic relationship again. But I also don't think of them as being the be-all and end-all, in the same way that marriage has never been the be-all and end-all. I've never had a particular desire to have children. I think I would consider children if I was in a romantic relationship with someone that wanted one. I'm not averse to the idea, but I don't have the particular draw myself. I was actually talking, a very, very good friend of mine, he and his wife are going to start trying to have a child, and I've already called shotgun on godparent, so that's going to be fun. Yeah, I defy this conception that romance is the be-all and end-all, because it puts so much pressure onto something that's already quite a highly pressurised situation. Human interaction is awful. It's just terrifying. I sort of talked about this before, but I am fundamentally an introvert at heart. The writer in me and the hermit in me doesn't want to do anything that involves other people. And so other people are terrifying. And then sort of every once in a while, a very important person will sort of slip under the net. And really, we become friends in spite of who I am as a person. Because I am grumpy, I am late for things, I'm flaky. There's, 1,000 things that people put up with. And I'm so lucky that I have people in my life who care enough about me even on those days when I don't care about myself. It also works because on the flip side, I have a whole set of baggage about sexual relationships. and I will have them and I engage in them as and when the mood strikes. But I only really these days have casual relations of that nature. And for me, right now, that works. And I'm aware of the times when I'm sort of falling into unhealthy habits and unhealthy patterns with it. I'm also lucky, you know, I live in London and I'm not going to live here forever, and I am exposed to fantastic people on a regular basis. And so I want to know that I have that opportunity to explore whatever avenue comes up. Probably my problem is that I skew the other way. So I have my friendships up here, and then any other relationship is going to be coming in slower, because I don't love people lightly. Sometimes I don't know how to show it, but I don't love people lightly. So I think that can put an awful lot of strain on a romantic relationship. And you know, relationships in general, I have always found it very easy to make friends for a limited period of time. Like, you know, I'm great in a bar situation because I will be everybody's best friend by the end of the night. Because if I've gone out, then it's because I'm on. And if I'm on, then I have no problems talking to people and jokes and telling stories and all that kind of thing. But I don't ever really know how to translate that into something sort of more long-term or lasting. I do find people intimidating, and you know, I find it hard to engage sometimes in conversations which has absolutely nothing to do with the person that I'm speaking to, and just everything to do with sort of my own anxieties and my own. I get stuck in my head a lot, you'll be surprised to hear, in no way. I just get into the place where I have my friends and I have my life, and other relationships sort of slot alongside it. And I think you learn to be comfortable with yourself a lot of the time through that. For me, I've had to learn to be open to friendships and learn all of the sort of traits that I have that are less than understanding, or less than caring, or just very critical. I think I'm a very critical person. I am a very critical person. I do expect everybody else to be perfect while forgiving me for being deeply flawed, which I'm working on it. Yeah, you know, and in going through transition as well, I think there's also a point of going like, don't put too much pressure on yourself. You know, I know some trans guys who are in happy relationships. I know some who, you know, are terrified by the prospect of. I think certainly when it comes to having sex with somebody when you're going through transition, if that's something that you're considering or you want to do, requires a certain amount of renegotiation, perhaps from what you've understood before. But it works out. And I think my main thing is find the places where you feel safe and protect them. And if you can make yourself safe in another person, then you protect that person. And you thank your lucky stars that you have them. And it doesn't matter if it's a romantic interest, a sexual interest, absolute platonic interest. Don't worry so much about labels. Labels should be a comfort, but not a box. And I think there is a point where you're allowed to be quite inflexible about it and go, do you know what, this works for me? And maybe I won't get married, and maybe I will get married. Maybe I'll get married 12 times. Maybe I will never have a sexual relationship with another person again. And these things are allowed to work their own way out, I think, without you forcing them. That's just my treatise on relationships and friendships, really. Basically, it comes down to, as long as you say yes, as long as you're saying yes, as long as the other person's saying yes, just work out your own thing, and you'll get there. And just allow yourself the opportunity to be free, particularly for those of you who are going through transition, be it social, be it medical, be it whatever. Just give yourself time. Don't worry too much about it, because things change and they shift, and you will grow into some things and you'll grow out of other things. And that never stops. You know, I'm so aware of the changes that have happened in me in the past 2 years, at the point where everybody naively would refer to me as a grown-up. So, yeah, just have faith and keep on keeping on, because you will meet the people in life that make it worth living. And when you do, God, it doesn't get better. Okay, talk to you next week. Bye.